today to all of you that I want you to really be thinking about throughout the entire period. And that question is, what can photography say that written text cannot? And we've talked about how images and illustrations and drawings can sort of say things that written text cannot, but this is a somewhat new idea and a sort of new question for you guys to be thinking about. So you might remember some of the work in the grammar or in the reading and writing book on illustrations and captions that we did last week. So that's something that you can keep in mind. But part of what we're going to do today also involves things like summary, which we've talked about, and things like description, which we've talked about. You guys have written both of those this semester. So the question to keep in mind is, what can photography say that text cannot? So if I was to ask you now, just off the top of your head, if you were just to come up with some kind of idea before we do anything, is there anything that you can think of related to what an image or a photograph can say or communicate that written text cannot? Okay, a few hands, very good. Let's do Diego.
How much you describe or written things about the image, the photography will be more realistic than the text.
So it's like a physical record, an actual account, and it's more realistic, and in a way, it's the realest thing that we have compared to text. Okay. Anything else people would add? Very good. Ethan?
You can know an idea immediately.
You can know the idea immediately, so it doesn't take time the same way that reading takes a little more time. Okay, that's a very good point. William?
To help understand and increase the imagination.
To help you like actually color your imagination. So when you're reading, you might have an image in your mind, but it's not necessarily going to be accurate, sort of like what Diego said, and it's actually giving you an image. Okay, Julie? I think that's actually a very good point. It gives you more information, but it doesn't necessarily tell you everything. There's some information that you might get in a caption that you wouldn't get from the image. And this is something that we talked about in the illustrations and captions part of the every table is going to get an image. Every table is going to get an image. Now, each image or photograph is different. And they are somewhat tied or related to historical events. And you might be more familiar or less familiar with the event, that's fine. So what you're going to do is, as a table, you're going to fill out this sheet. The first thing I want you to write is a few observations, just like a couple things that you notice about the photograph. What's in it, any observations that you have, a very sort of general beginning. So you can write down 2 or 3 or 4 observations as a table. Once you're done doing that and you're writing down basically the most important things that you see in the photo, I want you to try to come up with your own caption. Everybody remembers what a caption is, right? Below an image, okay? So I want you to come up with your own caption for the photograph. After everybody has filled this out as a table, and you guys can take your time, I'm going to give you the actual caption, the real caption that goes with the photograph. And then you will be able to compare the real caption and the caption you created. So you can write one similarity between the real caption and your caption and one difference. And then you'll think about this question again that we started with, which is what have you learned, what have you added to your understanding of what photography can say that a written text can't. So we'll go through this throughout the period. Okay, so I'm going to give one of these. You could take one and pass it down the line. One per table. Okay, take one and pass it down. You guys have any questions? Let me know. What does the photo tell you? What is it telling you that the text is not telling you? What are some things that it's saying to you? We talked about like things like details and motion.
The picture is more detailed than the writing is just because the writing maybe cannot say because the writing maybe say there is a lot of houses destroyed, but you don't know how many.
Okay, you don't have an image to match it. What about the emotion? The feeling. Yeah, that's a good one. So you see, yeah, that's another good one. So you can say something about it. Yeah, that's another good one. That's actually a very good one. So you can write down a couple of these things.
Information is that they are maybe going to separate from each other, and they are also hugging each other. They look really sad, and the adult is going to be a soldier. And the caption our group came up with is that no one wants to be a soldier. You can't meet your friends and family for a long, long time. In the picture, you can see an adult who is going to be a soldier who is crying and his child hugging each other. They are very sad. And one similarity is that they are hugging each other. And the difference is that we thought it was they are leaving each other, but the other one is they are meeting each other. So when you look at the image, you can feel that you are in that situation face to face with the written text. You can know what they look like in the graphic.
Yeah, I really like what you said here at the end. I want to read that again. When you look at the image, you can feel you are in that situation face to face. The written text can't give you that. I also think it's really interesting that they thought that they were saying goodbye. Of really good work in this class on a lot of the things that we've done so far this semester. Things like description and things like summary. But also captions and images communicating and captions translating what the image is communicating. I really like that we sort of began with this question of what can photography say that text cannot, and a lot of you guys were able to not only answer that question, but also focus on what is it that text can communicate that a photograph can't. So we see sort of both in our answers. I am going to give you guys a homework assignment that I will talk more about this afternoon that is going to ask you to pick a photograph, and I can work with you if you need help or ideas, but essentially to pick a photo from any event or any moment in history, anywhere in the world, so very broad, and you can write your own. So we had, at table 1, we had the Tiananmen Square protest. At table 2, we had the moon landing. At table 3, we had a woman reuniting with her daughter after serving in Iraq in the military. In table 4, we had the Titanic sinking. Table 5, we had the Taiwan National Day celebrations. And the last table, table 6, had the wreckage in the aftermath of the tsunami. So those are some ideas that you can think about for yourself when you're picking a photograph about any topic that you choose to research.